Welcome back to That's a Tap. You know who I am. I got my man DJ. I'm CT. We're with you today to finally bring you up to speed. It's been a minute, DJ. How are we doing?
Man. Good, CT. How are you, man? It's good to be back. Good to see you. Obviously, we're both on the road, and obviously I was overseas as well. Unreliable internet. I know we tried to get a show going, prior to the big UFC 284, didn't come into fruition. Pretty bad
Mm.
internet. You couldn't probably record it. So look, it is what it is. Commitments coming our way, but doesn't mean that we don't address what turned out to be a legendary event, a legendary card. So obviously, yeah, like look, almost 2 weeks removed from the card, here we are about to break down UFC 284. Happened in our own backyard in Perth RAC Arena. Word is that they're still putting the roof back after it flew off after last Sunday 2 weeks ago. But hey, man, I've got the biggest question here, right? Like, because you are one of the very lucky, privileged individuals who got to witness greatness in person. You were there at the RAC Arena. You were there
Mm.
when that main event took place, when that back and forth was happening. Throughout the whole event. For us viewers who tuned in via pay per view, we could see, it was electric. We could hear the crowd. They were very vocal. For me, what felt like one of the best crowds in a while. But hey, nothing beats experiencing it from there. And look, I'd like to hear your thoughts, CT. What did you think? What did you think of the event? What did you think of the crowd? Right? Do you think we did enough? Right? Our fighters and our crowd, did we do enough to bring UFC back into our backyard, to this country, to have another show?
Hands down, the Aussie crowd showed out, DJ, viewers. So proud, the community. That's what it's all about. That's what we're here for. But yeah, not only are the Australian fighters been doing us proud for so long, but top to bottom, from the RAC staff to the fans in attendance, Aussie fans that didn't get tickets, that missed out, you overseas, the people that weren't able to make it. But man, everyone contributed to what took place in Perth. It's been years in the making, and we're a dominant region now. And we just put ourselves, we put an emphatic stamp that Australia and New Zealand is, if not the strongest, one of the strongest regions for this organization.
Man, I mean, yeah, well put. I wasn't expecting nothing less. Obviously, I was very jealous of you. Every time, and especially during that main event and hearing that crowd, I'm like, I wish I was there. I mean, yes, it was intense, even for us viewers who are watching it through television, but it was still, would have been 10 times more the excitement being there in person, cheering with the crowd, punch for punch. Hey, look, here's another question just before we get into the card. Now, obviously, we know it happened in RSC Arena, not one of the
Mm.
biggest stadiums that we have in Australia. We know we have Marvel Stadium in our own very backyard. Do you reckon it would have been, even more electric with about 50, 60, 60,000 people in a stadium like Marvel?
Yeah, it would have been still fantastic. Obviously, intimate arena suits people in the arena more, but I think overall on TV it would have even been louder. It would have been like a soccer or football, cricket, fever pitch kind of environment, which would
Yeah.
be great. And I still think they will do another stadium show in Australia. This kind of just made a bigger case for them to come back and do it even bigger and better. It may not be in Perth again, but it's probably going to be in Sydney or Melbourne, and I just can't wait, DJ. I know. Well, I don't know if we've heard figures or like I think it did the biggest gate an Australian event has ever done, but in terms of just fans around the world that commenting on the crowd, like you've heard all the amazement in terms of the
Yeah.
atmosphere.
Absolutely, man. Like great comments all around. Like makes us happy. Obviously, while I was on the road, I happened to bump into a few other MMA fans throughout, and all of them were talking about how great that event was, and obviously, obviously the cherry on top being that absolute banger of a main event. Um, Look, let's get into the card. Obviously, I do hope that that second event in Australia comes into fruition. will be nothing better than to be able to be present, and also to show off again like what MMA means to us, to people in this country.
Mm.
Obviously throughout this episode, I also want to apologize for my cat as well. Like he is an MMA fan as much as me, so if he jumps in and tries to say a few words, please put up with me. Anyway, main event, man, like main card, main event, UFC 284. The card originally, the preview that never aired. We spoke about, look, the card that originally was set out to be UFC Perth or UFC 284 was very different to the end product. Obviously, there was a few fights that fell out, and very big fights. We had Robert Whittaker and Paulo Costa fall off. We had Kai Kara France fall off. Obviously two big fights fall off. Obviously, bringing about the question of, look, is this card strong enough to carry a pay-per-view that is coming back to a country that's very passionate about MMA, who also has a host of big stars and of our own. And look, that question got answered, right? Obviously, that we did say the main event carried the weight of the event, right? The idea of a number one pound for pound fighter taking on a number two pound for pound fighter, it's never happened before, and it's happening for the first time. And obviously, the caliber of fighters that they are, and we show that the event showed what we get to see when the best go against the best, right? So yeah, main event, man. What did you think?
Oh, like it was just the cherry on top, like of what made this event so special. It's what everyone wanted to see. DJ, like, the best against the best in their prime. Not only did it deliver and it lived up to everyone's hopes, but it's sort of left this door open for, like, we just need to see it again. And I wasn't thinking that going into it. I was thinking we would get a definitive kind of, this is the result, and we may not see these two fight again for a while. But like, just the circumstance of the fight just let us know that I don't think there was really a loser, in my opinion. Yes, one fighter lost the fight, DJ, but I really feel like both fighters ended up, winning from that event. What are your thoughts?
Absolutely, man. 100% agree. Like, I mean, going into this fight, I we obviously, like, again, in that episode that we spoke about, we were saying Islam is a tough task. Obviously, Alexander Volkanovski is the number one pound for pound fighter, and if anyone had any doubts about that, last or that Sunday, UFC 284 was proof as to why he is that person, right? Going up a weight class, taking on a feared opponent, an opponent that a lot of people tend to avoid, right? And to a certain extent, expose him, or expose how to beat, or create a blueprint on how to beat such an opponent. The Dagestani wrestling style, or the Dagestani fighting style, was something that hasn't been decoded previously, right? We had the great Khabib previously, being the lightweight champion, or even leading up to that, undefeated. And obviously, Islam has a one loss in his record. It was a knockout. Anyone can get knocked out at any point, right? Like, outside of that, Islam also has been very dominant, even leading up to the fight. Even when he fought Charles Oliveira, right? When people thought, like, Charles Oliveira is very tough, right? This is going to be the toughest challenge for Islam. Islam went and steamrolled Oliveira and submitted the person with the most amount of submissions, right? So now going into this fight, the aura around it is like, you're just getting this phenom, but you're getting another person coming from a lower weight division challenging, right, this phenom. And not only that, obviously is giving up size, right, and all the other attributes. So obviously, naturally, going into this fight, the widespread take was that, obviously, it's going to be fairly easy for Islam. He's going to defend it, but man, boy oh boy, it was completely different to that. I agree with you. I don't think there was a loser in this fight. If anything, I think, given Alexander Volkanovski, and I'm not saying this because he is from our backyard, I'm just speaking as I guess a general fight fan, going up a weight class, right, into a killer division, taking on a champion who has been steamrolling his opponents, and to go 5 rounds, right? People were saying it was going to be a quick submission, all these kind of things. Go 5 rounds, and we know that another notion to this fight was, if the fight gets taken to the ground, or if Islam is able to grab Volkanovski and take him down, right? It's bad news for Volkanovski, but we saw Volkanovski do a lot of good work. I didn't feel throughout the whole fight when either when Islam had his back or when he had taken Volk down, I never felt like he was at threat at any point. There was no threat of submission. Volk was talking smack, returning fire, right? Even in a compromised position. Like it shows the confidence in the training and the performance showed. The performance showed the level of preparation and training they put in. This is the number one pound for pound fighter. Like, you know, he left no stone unturned, right? To be honest, like I mean, looking again, this
Facts.
maybe is the bias. This may be the bias part of me coming in, but I felt at the end of it, and I know we were texting straight away. I remember texting, like, man, that's it. Volk's double champ. That's it, man. History, right? And he beat one of the best opponents ever to take that second belt. And obviously, then the decision gets read out. And look, you know, it wasn't a robbery. Let's put that out there. It's not a robbery. I think it was a very close fight, right? Very close fight. Could have gone either way. There was a silly, I guess, I don't know, what was a 49-46 or some stupid card.
Yeah.
Other than
Yeah.
that, like it was a very close fight. I
Yeah.
I personally thought, what was it? Islam definitely won the fourth round. I also thought Islam won the first round, but two, three, and five. Five was a very clear round for Volkanovski. Four was a very clear round for Islam. I hope I'm correct because I've seen this fight twice now, but it's been a while, right? And then obviously the first one, you know, at the end of the round, Volk gets taken down, he gets control. So obviously, you know, the round goes to Islam. But second round
Mm.
and third round, I know Islam caught Volk as well, but it was back and forth. Volk caught him too. So I actually thought, like, just for activity and overall damage at the end of the fight, everything put into consideration, I just thought Volkanovski won the fight two, three, and five, right? But having said that, again, you know, you can't be mad that Islam won, right? It was a close fight, right?
Yeah.
I guess the real victory here for Volkanovski is that no one expected that fight to be that close, right?
Yeah.
No one expected a smaller framed person to come
Mm.
and give Islam or you know the king of Dagestan challenge that he did be a bigger challenge than Charles Oliveira, right? I guess that's what it is. And I know there's talk about rematch. I don't know if the rematch will happen anytime soon, right? It would have been a nice story, obviously for us as well as Aussie fans, that you know him getting that second belt there and then maybe defending it against Islam, immediate rematch in Abu Dhabi. That would have been a bit different, but I do feel Volkanovski will go on next to defend his featherweight belt against Yair Rodriguez, who had a fantastic performance. And then I do think Islam probably, you know, obviously it's Ramadan now, then he'll. I don't know. I have this feeling he might fight um, Dustin Poirier. Obviously, a lot's happening in the lightweight division. We've got Conor McGregor back in the mix, quite exciting. Obviously, they've started filming. We've seen snippets. We've now seen videos pop up, and you know, obviously, we've seen Chandler and Conor together. It's quite exciting. We also got Darius and
Mm.
Oliveira fighting as well. So the
Yeah.
lightweights, there's a lot happening there. So it just depends on how it all lines up, right? We know Conor McGregor is always a title shot with one win away, right? Like, you get one win, he's in the title frame, and there's a beautiful story there, which can garner some interest as well. So we'll wait and see. Um, but overall, great main event. I think justified the two top fighters in the world and why they're there, right? And
Yeah.
now that we are like 2 weeks after the event, obviously we know that the pound for pound list at the top didn't change.
Yeah.
Alexander Volkanovski still is number one, and then obviously Islam is number two. Definitely will probably see some movement based on their next fights. Also, having said that, we know who's returning in 2 weeks' time, right? The greatest of all time, man. John Jones is back. And, you know, look, in all honesty, it's probably only a matter of time before he takes that spot again. Uh,
Mm.
Especially if he's able to get that heavyweight championship. But look, exciting times ahead. But you know, us fight fans were treated to an amazing, amazing fight. Kudos to both gentlemen for putting it all out there. That last 20 seconds, I can't imagine how you would have been up in that arena because I just was going nuts when I saw Volk get on top of him and like rain down punches. I'm like, my God, what's going on? And like I was just like, yeah, it was just
Mm.
crazy. It was nuts.
Yeah, and I think us that believe, like the wider community, like you hit, didn't really expect Volkanovski to to be that close. But as DJ yeah jumps back in, DJ, um, glad to have you back. I was just saying that yeah, I don't think the wider community expected him to do that well, but us, we I had belief that he is really one of the best fighters, pound for pound, the best, and I wasn't that surprised. But that moment at the very end, where the whole arena was on their feet, my 12-year-old nephew, my uncle next to me, just seeing emotion come out of them that I'd never seen before, shouting and screaming and cheering everybody on. It was just, yeah, really, really, really special. Something I'll never forget, and just another memory in the bank, of the 3 events I've been to, fortunate enough to go to, I think it was 243 in Melbourne with yourself, and then, of course, the Vegas, Cerrone Connor, one as well, and, then, sorry, yeah, Singapore as well with Glover and Yuri. So yeah, that's just a memory I'll never ever forget. The crowd was insane. Everyone was standing up. People were intoxicated. People were absolutely just yeah cheering with all their energy to will Volk on to such a monumental achievement. He just fell short, but yeah, there was no loser in my eyes. I think I could see Islam fighting Poirier, like you said, and then I could see Volkanovski and him fighting after that. You know, maybe the fact that Islam fought in Australia, maybe the next time they fight, I could see that maybe happening in Fight Island. Um,
Yeah,
yeah, when's Fight
that's
Island? Usually October, right?
usually October. Yeah, usually October. And then that's what Volk was calling for after the fight. When they met backstage, he said, "Look, maybe let's rematch. Let's do it in your backyard now." Obviously, like uh, so look, it might. I just don't see it happening straight away. But I could be wrong,
Mm,
right? So either way, if it were to happen
yeah,
again, I do feel now that it may not be as exciting as what it was last time. Obviously, because both fighters now have a better understanding of
yeah,
each other. I do honestly think that Islam went into that fight underestimating Volkanovski. He's not going to do it the next time. Um,
yeah.
so I would expect a stronger performance out of
Mm.
Islam the next time around when they go against each other. But again, hey, Volkanovski is an evolving fighter. He's number one pound for pound for a reason. So yeah,
What yeah, just
that's it.
what would be your comment about the struggle with weight cutting? Because I feel like it's getting harder and harder for Islam. He's a bigger guy. He looked absolutely
Yep,
drained, like one of the most drained
he
fighters
was.
I've
Yep,
ever seen on that final
yep,
weigh-in. And it's like I just
hundred
that's why
percent.
I feel like Volkanovski had that cardio to yeah.
Yeah, 100%, man. Like, obviously, it's no secret for Islam, weight cut has always been somewhat of a challenge. Even this time, the curtains had to come out. But look, if he's deciding to stay at 155, then obviously that's his call. I know he's talking now about wanting to get the second belt and all these kind of things. So, but we'll just have to wait and see what he decides. I mean, it'll be a strong welterweight,
Mm.
whenever he
Oh,
chooses to do that too. But I do think he will stay in lightweight for a bit.
okay, yeah, I agree. Yeah, Aussie heavy card. Obviously, what are your thoughts on the other Aussies representing DJ? The other Aussies representing.
Yeah, yeah, sorry, man. I lost you there for a second. I think the internet troubles
Mm,
have come back.
yeah,
Okay. Um, yeah, so look, before we talk about the other Aussies, I want to quickly give a shout out to Yair Rodriguez. Obviously, had a very,
mm,
very strong performance in the current main event.
yeah,
Absolutely dominated Josh Emmett. Clearly, uh, you know, uh, cemented himself as that number one contender with the interim title. I do strongly feel that's the next fight. That's what's going to be for Volkanovski.
yeah,
Still, look, man. Like, I mean, we'll preview it when the fight actually happens, but
yeah, Yeah, DJ will jump back
CT, you
in.
there? Yep. CD. Okay. Cool.
Yep.
Yeah, what I was trying to say was, yeah, I mean, getting frustrated with TPG, man. Absolutely.
No, it's
Anyway,
all good.
um, yeah, Yair Rodriguez obviously clearly cemented himself, and we'll break it down when the fight actually happens. But I still think Volkanovski's skill set is a lot more superior from especially what we've seen so
Yeah,
far, right?
then Emmett. Yeah.
Um,
Exciting fight though. That was the crowd was really into that. Like Yair's flair, the way he fights is exciting. Yeah, yeah, really exciting. Obviously, we've got
yeah,
the other
and
Aussies.
what's his name? Rodriguez, Rodriguez.
Mm.
Yeah, sorry, CD. We're talking about the other Aussies. Yeah,
Yep. Yeah, that's it. Obviously, yeah, as DJ jumps back in, we had yeah, some Aussies win big. Obviously, Jimmy Crute unfortunately got the draw, which was quite weird, that one. Um, Tyson Pedro disappointed, given the feature prelim. The crowd was hyped. I didn't think Tyson Pedro, took moment of that opportunity, unfortunately. But Jack Della Maddalena absolutely did. Man, to finish Randy Rude Boy, um, like the style that he did, earned the bonus. Jack Della Maddalena, DJ. Yeah, the Perth boy, man, he wasn't going to lose that one. He was undersized, shorter, smaller guy, but that was just incredible from Jack. Sealed the deal, made it known that he is legit now. It's 100% needs a ranked opponent. Does Jack Della Maddalena? 100% needs a ranked opponent.
yeah, absolutely. I think he was. His rankings came out, and he was number 15 in the welterweight division. I think he'll get a top 10 opponent next. He's going to continue to climb up, man. Like, he probably
Yeah,
impressed me the most in that card. No surprises. I was expecting him to be as good as he was. And look, he went out and got the job done, like dominated him and got the submission. No surprises at all, right? Uh, Jimmy Crute, like, obviously it was a bit of an odd one. I did think he won, but again, it was a draw based off damage, I believe. And then we also had Tyson Pedro feature prelim. I think you
mm,
touched on him. Absolutely, yeah. Seems like after the fight, he let us know that he was nursing an injury, but he still wanted to go through with it, obviously, to give back to the fans down under, but also to his opponent who took up the fight on short notice as well. So that's very great of him. I have a speedy recovery because I do think he's a big player in that light.
yeah, yeah. That's good to know. And we had Coolabau, Josh Coolabau, Jamie Malarkey. Yeah, we had Jamie Malarkey, yeah, from the Central Coast. A really exciting fight. That one, yeah, Jamie, sorry, definitely took that opportunity, made
If you guys are
everybody
watching, don't
proud.
ever go with TPG.
Yeah, TPG, man.
One
Yeah,
of the worst providers on planet Earth.
yeah, Jamie Malarkey.
Yeah, yeah, like again, impressive win. Um, Josh Gulibao again. There was a lot of drama in the face-off, and obviously he got the last laugh. We got Jack Jenkins from Victoria had a very
Mm,
impressive, you know, one-sided domination and a clear, strong decision victory. It was overall a very good night for the Aussies. I know the main event didn't go our way, but overall quite a good event.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Given the stuff that happened and the fights that pulled out. I mean, Bam Bam in the crowd with Whitaker and Adesanya,
Man,
and Hooker, they were cheering on like brothers.
Man, it was royalty in the house for sure, man. Like there was a lot. There was Logan Paul was there with KSI.
Yeah.
They were in the
Oliveira was
house.
there.
Charles Oliveira was there. Like there was a lot. There's a lot of celebrities, a lot of fighting royalty, MMA royalty in the house as well. So obviously great to see. Great event. Let's just fingers and toes crossed. We have another event. Sydney's already an event, man. Like we got all these killers coming out of Sydney, but we haven't had an event in Sydney for a while. So maybe we might see Sydney open its doors next time around.
I think we've seen some hints. I don't know if you've seen DJ, but there was a minister, might have been a minister of sport or something like that, you know, came out and in support of getting a UFC event to New South Wales. So I think, yeah, a New South Wales minister
Oh
is
yeah.
heavily making that push to try to get an event in Sydney now.
Man, his revenue. Look how much revenue it generated in Perth. Sold out. And
Yeah,
not just that, the amount of people coming in from all the other states, from other countries. Obviously, yeah, definitely,
yeah.
definitely. So I won't be surprised. I think there will definitely be a second event.
I won't be surprised if they stack it even more because obviously, given the circumstance, Hooker may have fought Bam Bam, Jake Matthews. Yeah, there's so many. They could probably do a fight night similar to
Hmm.
the first O2 London fight night, which was like as good as a
Yeah,
pay-per-view.
absolutely. Yeah, and look, oh, definitely, yeah, definitely, 100%. I think it's going to be another strong event down under.
Yep. And quickly, what are your thoughts on the upcoming big event now? We got
I mean, man, look,
Adesanya. Yep.
yeah, there's a lot of fights that got announced. But hey, do you remember not too long ago, I think 2, 3 episodes back, when that whole controversy was surrounding Dana White, I told you, hey, they're gonna start announcing some big time fights just to take the heat off that topic. And guess what? That's exactly what they did. They announced the supposed leak with John Jones and Gain, Conor McGregor, tough with Chandler, Adesanya, Pereira, Masvidal, Burns, Leon Edwards, Usman 3, Gaethje,
Yeah.
Fiziev. Like the way
Oh,
Dana White announced this was as if like, oh, usually he's never lets out any of those. It's like, oh yeah, this got put together too. They're fighting. This is the co-main. He was just giving out fights. So,
yeah.
but
Facts.
look, for us fight fans, yeah, for us fight fans, man, that's a carnival. Obviously, the next upcoming big one is John Jones who will gain, and the co-main is Valentina Shevchenko and Alex Grasso. We have another event. I'm sure we will talk about UFC 285 next week. We also got another event this weekend on this Sunday, which is Ryan
Mm.
Spann and Nikita Krylov for the light heavyweight main
Oof.
event. We have Jake Paul taking on Tommy Fury finally. That's happening as well on the weekend. So there's a lot going on. It's a fight weekend.
Yeah, finally, a lot of other big fights. Shabazian been announced with a an opponent. That's a big fight. There's talk Nate Diaz. They're definitely getting closer to a Jake Paul Nathan Diaz fight. Franny Ngannou. You'll probably hear that pretty soon. Like what's Francis Ngannou's next step? He didn't leave the UFC to stay idle. You left it for that payday. So what's that going to be? A big boxing bout, Francis Ngannou.
Yeah. Yeah, Francis Ngannou. I think there's a fight announcement soon. Uh, could even be with Tyson Fury because
Yeah,
Tyson Fury doesn't seem to be locked in with anything. There's a lot going on, man. There's a lot going on in the fight world for sure, absolutely. But look, um, uh, it's the first half of the year, at least in the UFC world, is quite exciting.
yep. And we'll link up on Monday. We'll drop an episode then when we catch up again, and we'll be live together in studio, DJ and CT minus the internet connection drama. But yeah, appreciate everyone for supporting. And apologies that we didn't get out, thoughts breakdowns sooner. But I do have a lot of clips from the arena, DJ, for all our supporters and fans. I'm going to upload some of the clips, the walkout, so you can catch that emotion and the atmosphere of the walkout. So I hope you enjoy them. Yeah, like I said with DJ, we'll link up on Monday, and we'll drop that episode, and we'll talk about the weekend, and
Sorry,
then yeah,
man. Like,
what else
I
is
mean,
next?
my internet is shocking. Can't